Hey, it's Sam today, and doing another creepypasta basically. Yeah, so this one's called I Cannot Forget. The tall human-like figure moved about the thick trees with no struggle at all. It was as if it was floating. It made no noise, and the only movement seen was the creature lunging forwards. It was graceful yet terrifying. My eyes grew as I watched it skim over a frozen lake and back into the trees. I tried to make out its facial features, but I couldn't. Perhaps it was the fog or my lack of concentration. I was just relieved. Where was I? Oh my gosh. I was approaching it anyway. That I still don't know. Something about it was inviting, though. Something about it made me feel like I wanted to come to it. My heart was pounding at a fast rate, but my legs were moving faster than I chased the creature. It turned a sharp corner, and I turned it right behind me, but I stopped myself, dead in my tracks when I saw that I had stopped myself. In front of it was a small girl, around 9 years of age. She standed up at it in horror. I thought it said honor. And I feared for her life as well as mine. I tried to wave her off to no Avil. She seemed captivated by the creature's appearance, the way I had been. She slowly stood up, and as she did, I fell back and crawled behind a bush. I couldn't look away. All I did was watch. The creature brought its face closer to hers, and as it did, her eyes grew, and she began to shake, covering her ears. She was terrified, and compared to her and I had nothing to be afraid of. She was only inches away from being, and she was not now looking at it face to face. I had never seen someone take in something and consider it deeply. I had yet such terror in their eyes. The little girl fell, but as I took a closer look, I could see her small chest filling with air and releasing. She wasn't dead, but she was unconscious. I took a closer look at it, and from my observations, I concluded that the being's gender was a male. It took her and dragged behind it. He was slowly creeping ahead this time, and I felt the need to follow. Where was I? After several minutes of following, he stopped at a clearing. The trees surrounded the empty area, were draped with roses and nooses. Mutated bodies and limbs were hanging from them. One body had been hung slowly. I could tell the fingers of what looked remotely human and had been clawing at its throat, trying to break free from the noose. What was this? That's when, with one movement, the creature ripped her heart away from what was keeping it beating. I gagged and almost vomited, but stopped myself. I couldn't let this happen to me, not like all those other people had. I couldn't let myself be hurt. But my body was frozen, so I couldn't turn around and run away. He then hung what was left of the other body from a rope. The surrounding trees had died, I noticed. He stopped all movement while hanging the child's left arm up. He knew of my presence, and he quickly turned around and faced me. Terror took over me, and I decided to let out a scream for help, but I couldn't. I knew this was Death himself looked like. They just assumed Death's gender. I saw nothing. He was faceless. He had no face, and yet he was the most terrifying thing I've ever laid my eyes on. Right as he turned around, a faint streaking noise, a very loud, ear-piercing buzzing, the kind you hear from a TV that's lost service and shows nothing but static. And in hearing this, I saw what seemed to look like static as well. Everything around me began to spin around and blur, nothing but black. Though before it did, the creature, the pale skin that should have been a face slowly stretched until it ripped into the form of a mouth. Parts of the skin were intact, and but instead, a murderous grin. This pale skin that should have been faced slowly until mouth. Parts of the skin were intact. I knew I was seeing that girl I had seen, and I knew I was hearing that she'd heard as well. I was now unconscious, and I knew for sure I wouldn't wake up. What happened next shocked me. I didn't know why he didn't kill me. Is this like Tarzan? And I didn't know why he'd taken... Oh, is this like Finding Nemo, because he's like looking for the girl? Never mind. And I didn't know why he'd taken me to a different part of the woods. Yeah, this is Tarzan. Before I had a chance to wake, for whatever reason, he spared me. And I know why, because I've read about this. This creature was the Slender Man. Oh my gosh, I hate this story already. And now that I'd read more about him, I know that this normal prey is children, and that alone is the reason why he didn't waste his time on me. Even though he had the perfect opportunity to kill me, he didn't, because I wasn't a child. Maybe he simply shouldn't sick for joy from me either. This is like the last only time. Please be cautious. For whatever reason you may go into it, don't. If you decide to spot the Slender Man, look away right as you do. Don't look any longer. All the same will happen to you. And trust me, once you see him, he will reveal himself to you a lot more than once. He still, to this day, is following me. Please don't let the same happen to you. So the thing is, the moral in this story is to not be a child. Because if you're a child, you have 100% of a chance to go into the woods or, like, to the park.